I welcome you to this preview video of the Italian La Liga, also match day 31 like in England, which we do as we always do with the assistance of this Betmaster tool that you can get your access to as well if you follow the description, the link in the description to this video. And we actually see that usually the computer compiles the prices very close to market, which is already actually a very good sign, and which means already then you're already almost good enough to beat the market. If you can compile the prices as good as market does, maybe then here or there you are even better. So it's more or less an odds compilation tool, and that anyone can use, of course, as well to be able to beat the betting market, which is anyone's dream, but people may still be doubtful about it. Okay, so here we see the pairings of match day 31 of the La Liga, and we can compare these as well with this statistical based method with it, which is a separate approach, a different approach, an additional approach, and those are the goal expectancies compiled based on the statistics the teams played, which are usually very close to the ones compiled within the Betmaster tool, and which means which is pretty amazing, I have to say. So I'm praising myself for that. But we have a second method to compare our compilations with and check out if we like the indications we get by the tool. An indication is always given when the price we get at market is bigger than the fair price, or the true price that I call it. And this is the reciprocal of this would be the probabilities, and so in any always if the probability is in a good relationship to the price we get paid, that would mean so in the long run we should make a profit with those so-called value bets, with all those indications. Anyway, we can check it out here. If we like an indication which would be confirmed, or maybe some contradiction with this second compilation, which I forgot to mention, that it's of course my intention to include it into the Betmaster tool itself, which is one of the next steps I'm going to have in the improving this tool, of course. In the Spezia Venezia, we can check out betting market as we always do, comparing these prices here. We see a 215 and we have a 228. You see already 325, so maybe 335 would be an indication on the draw. There is no tendency at all for these teams to play a draw, and we can check it out with the with the X price. In fact, in Italy they play too many draws, which is shown here in the percentage. I expected 25 around, but there had been 27% draws. 25% would be 1 in 4 games, which you see here reflected in the true price. So if there is a draw indication, we can actually trust it more or less. We can also look at the game details. We see here Spezia are not playing the amount of draws I expected, so they are not such a drawish side, and also Venezia are not the draw side really striving for the draws. And obviously also in the table it wouldn't help so much, whereby it's not a disaster for either of them. Venezia would still have their fate in their own hand to skip these relegation, to drop out of to go out of the to leave the relegation area, the relegation zone. So a draw is not such an awful result, whereby those teams are not playing the amount of draws. At home they have 3 draws where expected 3.67. They have away 3 draws where expected 3.3. So in fact it doesn't quite turn out. We also have a 3.35 as the price we get. So it would not work out. We can compare it, of course, as well with a statistical method, which would even make it a somewhat lower draw price. Because less goals for Spezia, less goals or fewer goals for Venezia, fewer for Spezia, which would make it maybe 320 or so. So there would be an indication. I would not full-heartedly somehow propose this. Lazio against Sassuolo doesn't look like a home win at all. Maybe the away side even could be indicated, which is not such an awful suggestion. 4.35 it says here. So as soon as we get more than that, and Lazio are shaky, whereby and Sassuolo are really cruising. So I guess that would be even more indicated here, which is the case because the stats are always on their side and Lazio really shaky, and so this one I would sign, in fact, to go for Sassuolo, who really made me happy in a couple of games whereby they beat Roma away from home. If I remember correctly, a couple of weeks ago, they beat everyone, but Roma beat Lazio at least, but we wouldn't find the game here. And well, they drew with Roma. Okay, I'm happy to see that, and that was the home game by Sassuolo. But Roma didn't win. I think I went for Roma here, so it was a poor outcome, but still, Roma didn't lose. But anyway, they are unstoppable here, not losing any of those games. Lazio were okay in the derby, but they were pretty quickly 3 goals behind and couldn't catch up anymore. And recently, okay, losing to Roma and Napoli is not the worst that can happen. Beating Venezia by a single goal, Cagliari, they are in the relegation zone. So but the whole campaign is 14 wins. I expected 13.71. 7 draws, I expected 7.36, so I didn't rate them so well, and they played exactly at that level, which is not a bad sign. I mean, I was assessing them well. And also Sassuolo, 11 wins, I expected 11.22, 10 draws, I expected 7.44. They won 43 points, and I expected 41.08, so I'm close enough here. The goal difference is excellent. They scored a lot. They conceded as many as I expected. 48.88 expected, 49 conceded. So, and the statistical method confirms here 4.75 or 4.3 something, 4.4 is marginally good enough, but we can still think about it. Or you can still decide on yourself. For me, it's an indication, and actually I can't ignore it. Salernitana, it may be too little too late. I think we can forget about them, which is always the sad story when it's coming to the end of the campaign. It is not good enough what they produce here. Also here we see they played at the level of 0.34, which is really terrible. And although they are rated still 0.48, which could simply be too good, signing off Ribery didn't help them anymore, or was too late. They played some good football, I wouldn't deny at all. Computer says once again, go for them, try with them. I think they will have their fun playing, but the competitive part is over. So rather forget those games whereby I can very well confirm. You see that here they drew 5 of the last 8. It's not enough for the league status, but still it means they are in there for a fight, and they will continue like this. And Torino actually in awful shape, so I had to reassess. I have to say 1x should actually be a decent bet. They will just be happy that they play in the Serie A and have another game, and also the crowd will just be cheering them and cheer them up, I'm sure. They are not disappointed. They are just happy that a small club are in the Serie A, and so I'm pretty sure. Fiorentina against Empoli is the common thing. Computer always says x2 in the Empoli matches, 4.43, 5.6. This is not enough, in fact. And also Fiorentina had been impressive. 47 points is a lot more than expected. 9 goals better, they scored a lot more, they conceded less. And of course they are okay here, very okay, and also away from home. But most recently Empoli are not that good anymore, losing most of their games. Also Fiorentina maybe not fully stable, but still maybe somehow touch of the Champions League. I can imagine 8th place doesn't sound like that, but 47, 59, no, it's a long way, but with a game in hand. Anyway, and Empoli out of the worst here. I'm not sure, but maybe the draw would be an indication. It's not the stage of the campaign where draws are overly attractive. The X2 is not really indicated. I would skip it. And by the way, we didn't compare here. Here it would even give Empoli somewhat better chances. As we saw, the recent shape was not so convincing. Well, I would have to say then in the end, at the 4.7, if we get this price, we had to go for the draw. Atalanta-Napoli is of course one of the big ones. Here it would say easily go with Napoli. We have to compare it here. And it confirms here that Napoli are the favorites. Of course, it doesn't sound like that, but Atalanta were also pretty disappointing to me. When I thought, now I'm really convinced they are good. 51 points is clearly less than expected, and Napoli with 63 is still better than expected. But the recent shape, okay, 2 wins, 2 narrow wins. I saw this one 90 minutes against Udinese. It was still shaky after the break. They turned it around. They lost to Milan, which was a bit unlucky. But also Atalanta, shaky. Yeah, actually with more losses than wins in the last 8, 2 wins, 3 losses. So we actually had to confirm this one. Also with the home shape being really awful, 4-6-4, and Napoli on the road, 10-4-1. They seem to be struggling at home, both of them, and to be cruising on the road, which is pretty obvious, especially with these two. So I had to confirm here, definitely we have to try with Napoli. That's one of the big bets we have to... thank you. Udinese against Cagliari. So here we have a definite bet on Napoli. Udinese Cagliari, it looks as if computer wants once again X and 2, maybe draw and away win. So Cagliari not to lose. I was of course very impressed by Udinese in the last 2 games when I saw them 90 minutes against Roma and against Napoli, where they shouldn't have lost really. And that was the draw, and here they lost. They were overly impressive. They didn't lose 4 games before. They only have those 30 points that I expected, more or less. And in the goal-wise, they are okay with 36-46, which is still better than expected. Cagliari, of course, they had been struggling and fighting and fought back and so on. Level, 25 points, 30 points, both in some serious trouble. I would not. Well, I would like to support Cagliari. Actually, 3 losses without a goal is not such a good sign. They were so impressive. Still, I somehow would like to go with Cagliari if this would confirm here, but it does not. It doesn't confirm. So it says here the price is clearly lower, which is just fine. It is as market says. Maybe 195 the true price also. So we have to skip it anyway. Sampdoria, Roma, I'm sure the computer wants once again to go with Roma. If we get the 195, that would clearly be enough. 189 is borderline, but the statistical method would confirm. Of course, I'm not fully convinced by Roma. I saw them a couple of times. I thought they are good, surely, but are they as good as the others? There are at least 4 better sides. I have to admit, it's a very strong league. Also, I saw the first leg between these two, when even, what was the final result? But it was a very hard fought 1-1, I think, that ended. Sampdoria were really strong there. Here it would tell me, okay, try with Roma. Obviously, the away side marginally here favored or partly favored. We can check it out with the stats here. Once again, 4-3-8. They lost more than half of their home games. They won 6. They won like, well, close to half of their away games. So that would even confirm the bet, and also the statistical method would confirm. So I have to, 185 is marginally or not good enough. 189 would just be enough. So just to make sure you understand how close it is and these decisions are. Juventus Inter, of course, one of the big ones. I couldn't say other than this is an even game. Market obviously thinks the same. No one real favorites. I'm surprised that they say even Inter are favorites. We check out here. Here it confirms Inter are slight favorites, fully confirming market's assessment. Also, actually here quite confirmed. This is fine. I agree. I take my hat off and say thank you, and let's hope for an exciting match, but don't get involved with any bets. And Verona against Genoa. I mean, this Verona side is just impressive. 189 would surely be enough. I'm pretty sure this will be confirmed here because the stats are just amazing. They are as good as they are. They are really good. And 180 something we had to go for, whereby Genoa had this streak of draws, like 7 draws. I don't know. How many draws did they play in a row? 7 draws and now a win. Hard to beat, very, very tough nut to crack. So actually, well, what would we conclude here? I mean, I always said that 2 wins over the whole campaign until this win over Torino, which was really lucky. I saw that, and not really lucky. I mean, I think they lost a player somewhere by sending off, but there should have been a draw at least for Torino. But of course, after, well, with 1 win only in 29 games, you somehow hope for them as well. And Verona, maybe not at full throttle here, so we rather skip it. We say, no, thank you. I mean, there is full confirmation, but we somehow admire Genoa for their resistance, resilience, and just leave it alone. I mean, Verona are out of all kinds of dangers, maybe winning some Europe starting place, but that wouldn't matter as much as Genoa to stay in the league. Where are Genoa? They are still in this point with 16 draws, just amazing. And Verona are in 10th place, maybe with some small perspectives. Well, that wouldn't matter so much. Milan against Bologna, I would happily go with Bologna because, but they are also in awful shape. I think my impression is, how is their shape? It's awful, right? Loss, draw. Couldn't win anymore, just a single win over Spezia, whereby Milan are they top of the table? Really, you wouldn't believe, because they are not the best, and I think the statistical method would confirm, but I still somehow support them also. Well, I'm not getting back to that. I like Roma and Milan are also, well, there are many interesting and nice sides, but Milan have a certain, over the decades, even a club philosophy somehow that I appreciate and like. And of course, I would wish for them as well, if Roma can't do it, which is of course impossible, then Milan to take the title. And obviously Bologna out of shape, so even though we get easily this confirmation here that the chances for Bologna are really good, shape is not so good, and the title is really for grabs. And so I would wish for Milan and not go against them. So we had this Maybe the draw here in Spezia Venezia, which in the end still did work out. It's not an awful result for both of them. In the Lazio Sassuolo, we have to go for Sassuolo, starting at 440 or something. Salernitana to Torino, have to confirm the 1x. We have to try with that one. Fiorentina Empoli was marginally, it wasn't good enough. No bet there. Napoli to win. Udinese Cagliari, I rather meant to skip it. It's fine. The statistics said not so good for Cagliari, so we skip it. Roma to win, 189, just enough. Juventus Inter, thank you, market, very good work. We don't bet. Verona Genoa is an indication, and we have lots of confirmation for that. We still leave it alone. Milan Bologna would be an X2, but also not good enough. With Milan, the title up for grabs and so on. So we just leave this one alone as well. So thanks very much for watching. Leave your likes or subscribe to my channel and so on, and check out the tool. You will be amazed how good it compiles the prices for you. And if you want any assistance on that, you can get that as well over the Discord or also in private messages to me. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.